Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to Abdec. Last time we finally connected the two books. We have a path going from this adult over here through this book a little bit and then into this book and through different pages, and it turns red because I changed the pen color, and then eventually it gets to the heart where we already solved that puzzle a long time ago. So yeah, I guess that's another funny thing about that puzzle is I feel like there's like, in addition to the issues of, okay, let's talk about it. So there's a couple of different issues. One is even identifying that there is a puzzle to solve regarding the portals, right? I mean, we've talked about it already, but like, because we go off grid, it's sort of like, at least it says to me, like, oh, well, there we go, we're off grid. Whatever rules you had before that were to do with being on the grid, I guess that's gone. And so, like, I almost also, my expectations for like a kind of final big puzzle being kind of like flowy, and you just like get to the end and you hit the heart and you're like, way, I solved the puzzle. There's expectations around that. Maybe it's to sort of think, like I did at the beginning, I just drew a line. I was like, okay, I think like I can probably just go from portal to portal. It's not really about, there's no bigger puzzle to solve, no complicated thing to solve. It's just connect the portals, get to the heart, done. So I think there's like a slight problem there in that it's not even that clear that there is a puzzle to solve. And part of that might be because it's just very abrupt, I would say, is maybe the issue. It's like you go from like this to this, and you're like, okay, I get portals. And you're not given any more time to like get portals. Like, maybe if there'd been a few more puzzles with portals, I don't know if it would have 100% helped, but it would have at least been like, I think it would have made me think more like, oh, surely these must be puzzles like the puzzles I just did. But when there's only two, and there's suddenly an abrupt change to there's no grid, it's like, well, okay, maybe it's just trying to end things. And given that I already know, like, I feel like there's a kind of weird assumption about the player's headspace, which is that almost that they haven't even connected, like, the fact that these portals connect to each other and go to the heart. But like, that's the most obvious thing of all of this, is that, well, yeah, look, these things, I mean, obviously I didn't know, until I realized there were portals, I didn't know that they were all connected like that. But as soon as I knew there were portals, it's not that I then had to like follow them and go, oh, where will that end up? Like, I knew where it would end up. I knew it would end up at the heart because I knew there were symbols here. So I already have like a big picture in my head of like, okay, I get what this is doing. It's doing a loop from here to here. And so I already have the end goal in mind. And there's this, yeah, like I kind of described it as an anticlimax before. There's this kind of like in understanding the portals, I understand exactly where I'm going, and therefore I know that this puzzle is the end of it. And if I assume that, oh, those portals don't matter, then all I've got to do is solve this easy puzzle over here, and I've hit the heart. And it's just so easy to not solve those things, and I only solved them because I asked about whether there was something else I was supposed to do there. It's very abrupt. It's like an abrupt interruption, in the middle of something that almost feels already solved. There's like a loop. I found the loop. I understand the loop. I know it goes from the thing. I know it goes to the heart. And like, I've already got that picture in my mind. And it feels good because like, I know the loop goes from this point to the heart, and that will be like the ending of the thing. But then there's just like a wedge in the middle. It's like, and it's not even clear that it is a wedge. But because it's so abrupt, it just feels like, oh, maybe this is just like, it's not meant to be a puzzle. It's meant to be something else. I don't know. So that was one issue, is like even identifying it as a puzzle. Then the other issue was, I think the big part that is a problem is recognizing that I'm supposed to use these, basically, is what it all comes down to. And there's like a few aspects to that. One is that, so somebody pointed out in Discord that I guess at the beginning, no. Where even did it say that? Did it say it anywhere? Was it on the website? Because if so, that is too far removed from the actual thing. Okay, so it's on the website only. So it should say it in the front of the book. Or, I mean, it should say at the end of the book. But I'll get there. So, like, at least it should say at the front of the book. But on the website, it says, congratulations on reaching this page. Solve the following exercise, then return to the source. I mean, that's already still very flimsy, because the source, in my opinion, is this whole book. It's not this page, right? So, like, okay, the first thing the book needs to do is get me to once I've finished all these adult puzzles, is come back to this page and think that I have to do something with it, right? But the only thing that's even hinting at that is the thing on the website that says return to the source, which isn't even clear. And it's not in the front of the book. It could have been in the front of the book. It could have been at the end of the book, where, you know, we've just done some portal stuff. And now the next problem, so not only am I not sent to this page to even think about this, like if I'd been sent to this page very clearly, I clearly would have tried to figure out something to do with it, right? But because I wasn't, even though I considered this page, I'm considering that page amongst a sea of other options of things I could consider. And therefore, it's much harder to come to any conclusions about, I've got to do something with this page, because I haven't been sent to that page. And I have no reason to my universe of possible things to think about, there's no reason for it to be limited to this tiny section of that universe. And then, so then the additional problem on top of that is that the end of the adults book leaves us with these portals, right? And so my instinct is not to go to this page at all. Why would I go to this page? It's got nothing to do with the portals. My instinct is to go to the pages that I know have portals on them and just like connect them up. And there's a missing piece there. Like, why would I even think about this page? Why would I, like, what is the there's no clue. There's no clue. On top of that, like, so there's so many compounding factors here. Almost so confounding, but they're also confounding factors. There's so many compounding factors here, because on top of that, this is already done. Like, this is a really common thing in like kind of like non-systemic puzzle design, because we're definitely leaving the systemic realm for these things. A really big problem in that kind of world is knowing when something you're done with it. And so most things, like if you do an escape room or whatever, they will just be like, if you've used this clue and you've solved a puzzle with it and you're done with that clue. But that's not the case with this. So, and by itself, that might be okay. Like, by itself, the idea that, oh, actually I have to use this in 2 ways, because like I had to do it to get the URL. But, and by itself, that might be okay. But given that nothing is directing me towards this page, I have even more reason to not believe that this is relevant at all, right? Like, why would I? Along with the fact that this is like within the framing of the book, this is saying that it's about, I know it's a joke, but like build your own bus and you have to collect all the books within the framing of the book. That's what it says. So in this, like, the history of this book and this author and, the books they've made, this series of books, textbooks, so assuming I'm meant to immerse myself in that reality and believe in that, then the reality is then in some of those, like the 7 other books or whatever it is, the 7 other books, at the back I would find some more grids. And I mean, if I didn't, okay, so that would be a thing that would help. If these were a real set of books and I had all 7 of them and I looked at the back of the other books, it's like, wait, the other books don't have a bus. That would actually help me realize there's something more to do with this, because this would be a lie. But those don't exist. I just sort of have to imagine they do exist as part of the fiction of the world, and therefore I have no reason to believe that this isn't actually part of like a little like silly joke build a bus thing that is at the back of the book. You have to cut out the pieces. And if that were the case, then so something I said like many times while like trying to figure this out was like, it can't be to do with this, because that rule would simply be like, without anything, like there's no rule that I can think of that would make it like, other than a very, very specific rule of, you can cut out grid pieces and place them on other pages in the book, but they can only be cut out of the build your own bus page, which is such a like an overly convoluted rule that it doesn't feel right. So there's no rule I can think of that can constrain it that much, in which case the only rule that I could think of that would work and be kind of a pure rule would be the idea that you can extend puzzles by attaching grid to them, and that grid can come from anywhere, but that obviously would just break everything. And so given that obviously would break everything, it must be nothing to do with cutting these pieces out and placing them on the other puzzles. Like I did mention in Discord that like it perhaps would have been, I don't think it removes the impurity of that rule. I still think that's the problem. And that's the problem on top of the problem of like, oh, I'm not directed to this page and I'm directed away from this page, etc., etc. All those issues. But where was I going? I can't remember. I don't know. I was going somewhere. But still. And it's quite frustrating because like actually solving the puzzles is really fun. They're really cool. It's great that you can attach these things and it changes the puzzle and it's solvable in its new form. But getting to the point where I feel like I know that I'm doing the puzzle is there's just too many jumps. There are too many jumps. Like, I'm also kind of curious. I keep thinking, like, I had this problem at the beginning of this book. I remember talking about it, like the idea that depending on how you shade in the cells or how you draw them, if you draw an outline or whatever, once you get to this point, I think it was just this point, it can make it quite difficult to figure out what the rule. No, it's not this point. It's no, it is that. It's when you're trying to understand what the letters in the grid mean. It can make it quite difficult to figure this out. So depending on your process of solving and how you annotate the puzzles, how you draw on them, it can make the later bit more difficult. So almost like maybe having a puzzle at the beginning that illustrates like, this is like kind of how we suggest you annotate this could help. Kind of like they did in, because it's kind of funny, that Path of Adults does have that. There's a line and you can see it. Or is it, oh, maybe this one does. I can't remember what the first puzzle here looked like. No, yeah, we never had the thing. I suppose you could suggest that because they're shading here, like, but then there's no outline. I feel like having both the outline and the shade is quite important for solving these in a nice way. Anyway, where was I going? I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought. Oh yeah, so like that, like the fact that my process can affect my ability to solve later. I keep wondering, like, if I had actually cut these out, would the process have been different? If I'd like literally taken the scissors to this page and cut them out, would that have affected my feelings about whether this book loops back into this book and how it loops back, and the fact that these would be relevant? I don't know if it would, because like, once again, I felt like they were used, like they were done. I was done with that because I was, here. And kind of the suggestion that like, oh, because these are grid cells, clearly I must use them somewhere. Well, that would be like, there are grid cells all over the world in many different books. I'm sure there are. I don't know. There are probably grid cells in these puzzles that are like kind of redundant to the puzzle. I mean, there are, right? Like I could cut that grid cell out and the puzzle would still be the same. So why can't I remove that one and put it there? That connection between like that back page and the portal puzzle, I think is not strong enough. And I think the thing that's difficult with designing kind of ARG or like kind of escape roomy type puzzles or whatever, kind of non-systemic, exist in the real world or some larger world. One of the problems with designing those things is that you can't just say, oh, there is a connection. Like sure, you could say on the website it says go back to the source. You could say that these are grid shaped. You could say that this is the only place where I'm instructed to cut something out. Therefore, surely I have to use this. So sure, the steps are there. There are little signifiers that take me to that idea, but they are competing against an infinite sea of other ideas that also, simply by their nature or completely naturally or by coincidence or whatever, also have signifiers. All my ideas around like maybe I'm supposed to be able to pick up these portals and move them, or maybe I can take them as a set and rotate them. I can't find the page, but yeah, like if I could pick them up and like place them on. I even like found the solution for this puzzle that worked for. I was like, oh, maybe that'll apply to the others. Like that is just. The problem is that there are just as many reasons for me to believe that as there are to believe the other thing, and I can only end up. I can't believe I've done like a 20-minute rant about. It's not a rant. It's a design analysis. Just my thoughts on the thing. But so I said this as well. Like one of the problems with some of these things is that I can only know that I've gone the right route through this like messy universe of potential possible ideas in the non-systemic ARG part of the book. I can only know that I've gone through the right route once I've started solving the systemic puzzles at the end of it, and I go, oh, they've got unique solutions in this. Like if I had followed this route through the ARG part, I get to the systemic part. And then it has unique solutions and it starts to feel nice. And that is a lot of path to go down in order to be able to confirm an idea that I've had before, especially when there are many different possible ideas. That, I think, summarizes all of my thoughts on this kind of thing. It doesn't just apply to all this, it applies to all sorts of like kind of cryptic. Because it's not, I think the thing to say is, I think these kinds of puzzles work in the same space as the kind of escape room type thing. I also think that is in the same space as the detective puzzle. And I think it comes down to get into like logical reasoning things. It comes down to what in like philosophy of logic is called abductive reasoning, which is the kind of the process of, it's that process of having a sea of potential explanations for a thing and then refining it to the one that is the correct one. It's what a detective does. They see a bunch of clues in a crime scene and they conjure up explanations and they refine it to the right one, and they use different heuristics to say, well, this is more likely than this and this and whatever, and it's that process of bringing it down to a single thing, which is different to kind of the deductive reasoning that you do. Like when you're actually solving these puzzles, you do a more of a deductive process. And so anyway, yeah, what am I saying? Oh yeah, so basically all those kinds of things, like these escape room type puzzles, cryptic puzzles, like and like this like ARG style puzzles. It's not really an ARG, but like ARGs, detective games, they all fit in the same world where it's this kind of reasoning that you're dealing with. The thing that but there are things that distinguish those categories. I'm not saying they're all the same kind of puzzle. And this, I think, fits into it's like quite common. I think the reason I say like ARG a lot for this is because those tend to lean more cryptic, and this is what I would consider like a more cryptic puzzle. And so kind of there's an element of, I think the kind of defining characteristic of a cryptic puzzle is that you're given some kind of clue, but it's not like in a detective, if you're in a crime scene and there's a bullet hole in a wall, it's not cryptic. You're like, well, there's a bullet hole in the wall, somebody shot that wall. Like, I understand what that means. Whereas in a cryptic style version of this thing, there's a clue, for example, and there's like a kind of lateral thinking thing that you have to do. I think that's probably like a good way of summarizing it. It's like it infuses it with an element of like quite a lot of like lateral thinking, and that's what makes it kind of more cryptic. And anyway, I guess why I was saying it is just that basically once things are cryptic, it makes it even harder to like to have those kind of heuristics to narrow down the set of possible things. And that's why things need to be like almost, I think from the designer's perspective, it'll feel like overcluing. Like, oh, I'm gonna have to like they're expecting me to put in like 5 different clues that get to the same point. That's redundant. I just have one set of clues, and surely it'll get you there. But the designer is coming at it knowing what the answer is, and it's really hard, I think, as a designer to know what the experience will be like as somebody who doesn't know what the answer is. So yes, and like in a detective game, like think about the like Return of the Obra Dinn, Case of the Golden Idol. There's usually more than one way to get to an answer, if not always like more than one way to get to an answer. And I think that's kind of necessary with cryptic, ARG style abductive reasoning puzzles, because you're trying to narrow down this infinite set. I keep saying infinite. It's not infinite. It's just I mean, maybe it is kind of infinite, but it's like, in a sense, you're narrowing down like a space of possibilities into something that you feel most accurately or best explains. That's another term, is inference to the best explanation. It's like you're narrowing down this infinite set of things to the one thing that best explains the set of observations that you've made, and having only one route to get there is kind of nightmarish, because that's a huge set of things to narrow down to one thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose it comes from like I wonder if the part of the issue here comes from this kind of mix of like in like a pen and paper deductive style puzzle, designers come at it with the approach of like, oh, I want like it's like called forward design, where you like, or like people call it forward design, where you think about what deduction the player's going to make next and what deduction they're going to make after that. And so there's kind of a sequence of steps that the designer is intending for the player to go through to get the answer. That doesn't mean, I think that's like a common misunderstanding of that thing. It doesn't mean that's the only sequence of steps to get the answer. I mean, it's necessarily not the only sequence of steps, because there's always the process of brute force. You can always brute force a puzzle, And that's always a way to get to the answer. So you can never say, oh, my puzzle only has like one way of getting to the answer. You can say it has one answer, but you can't say it only has one way of getting there. Well, maybe you could if the only way of getting there was brute force. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Okay. So the only way to make a puzzle that has exactly one way of getting to the answer is to make it literally a combination lock with no clues. And therefore you have to brute force it. But yes, but otherwise, a puzzle that has a deductive process to it, I think necessarily has more than one answer. Sorry, not more than one answer, more than one path to the answer, which is kind of an interesting thing to think about. But I think that like applying that idea of like, well, I want there to be a deductive step and then a deductive step and then a deductive step to a ARG like abductive reasoning puzzle can result in this kind of situation of like, well, there are the steps, but they're extremely abstract and cryptic and weird, and there's like this. Well, no, I mean basically that. And they exist within a sea of other possible paths that I could go down that don't lead me there. And that's why I think overcluing is basically necessary in that space. Anyway, okay, it's been almost half an hour discussion on designing those kinds of puzzles. Okay. What do we actually have left to do? We have 2 puzzles left to do. Oh, geez. We have 47 left to do. So I know that people have told me I'm close on this. So I know I need to stick around the same ideas. I've also said that I might be willing to look at hints on certain things here. We'll see what happens. So I'm apparently close on this. What are my ideas? My ideas are that 4 represents puzzle 4. Should we enumerate all the within this universe? I'm narrowing down to like a specific set of things that might be reasonable. And if we enumerate all those and then try and use them in different combinations or whatever. So, and I'm only doing that because somebody's told me I'm close. So, if I without that information, I still have many, many other ideas that or at least I have the potential for ideas that I haven't thought of. Okay. So wait, puzzle 4. And yeah, puzzle 4 is interesting because it almost fits. It's like typically for a puzzle, to make a puzzle kind of, it's not necessary for a puzzle, but a common thing is that you make it so there is you can have an idea for the solution and you try that thing and it's almost works. It's frustrating and it's oh, I'm so close. But then the actual thing is some variation on that. So the fact that fits almost uniquely suggests to me that maybe that's on the path they wanted me to be on. They want me to be oh, this is close, but not quite close enough. But as we know, they don't fit. And we have no reason to believe that there would be any particular special rule that would constrain those positions of those things anymore. It's not like the gaps between the thing means something. They're just gaps, right, in the shape. It's not like that's shaded. In fact, if that was shaded, that just opens up more options for where the things could be placed, because they wouldn't be constrained by this child ab creature. I think that would add a flipped version of everything that I could do. And there's no... Okay, let's just go down all the paths. There's no scaling of 4, because it's 4 wide. I need to draw it down. I need to draw it. Can I remember it? Is it is it 3 there? Is it this? It's not that, is it? What is it? 4. No, I got that very wrong. Are those equivalent? No, there are no 4 edges, so no, I'm not totally wrong. Wait, and now I've lost the page again. So is it, I should have just remembered it when I was looking at it then. Like this, like that, like this, like that. Let's double check. 12, 10, 6. Ah. 4. Yes, okay, got the right shape now. There's no scaling. Is there a... Because like this is 4 wide, so if I just doubled it up, so I kept it orthogonal, it wouldn't fit. If I did it at an angle, so the angle that scales least is the 45-degree angle. And what would that mean about size? Let's just draw in a 4x4. I don't think it would fit, right? No, it wouldn't fit. Well, yeah, so it would still be like 8x8. Is that true? I guess so. Yeah, it would still be 8x8. Okay. But it does have corners missing, so like, is it possible with the corners missing? So I guess like at this end, if we did like 3 up there, no. A scaled 4 is never gonna fit. Oh wait, but I guess it could be 2. It could be that end. So that edge... Oh, no, that doesn't make sense. What am I saying? What am I saying? I don't know. No, yeah. So 2 up 1, 2, 3. Oh, that might fit. 1, 2, 3. 1. 1, 2. Oh no, this actually fits. What does that mean? Well, we're not covering you. So it is possible to put a diagonal 4 in and cover both of the 4s. So this is like it's another comment on like these kinds of abductive puzzles, is that because you have like a kind of sea of paths to go down, you don't know which one's right, and it's hard to validate which one's right. Any like barrier along the path becomes like a mountain. And you're like, well, because there's so many other paths to try, and you're like, well, I'm going to try and cut out the ones that feel impossible. And I think I cut out the idea that I could put the thing diagonally because I just thought it wouldn't fit. Because like the visualizing a rotated shape, like I almost just discounted it again until I realized that I could put the 2 edge there. And visualizing that and seeing if it will fit is... That was a kind of like like a mountain along that path that I would have to go over. And so I was like, well, it looks impossible, so I'll try these other options. Does this lead anywhere though? Like, I guess I need an A. Where do I get an A from? Is it the... Wait, what was 7? No, 7 was 2 Bs. It's not the thing where I use 7 as well. Oh, because that's interesting, because that would be 1, 4. 2 Bs. But I'm assuming it means, you know, in this... Oh, what if it's... Because like it could... Oh, it is like this, isn't it? If we put that way around. No, because then the 4 isn't covered. like, is there a position of that, like that? So not, wait, it's hard to align this. So where are you? You would be there. You'd be covering that halfway, wouldn't you? Would you be covering that halfway? Nothing's properly aligned. Yeah, you'd be covering that halfway, so that doesn't fit either. Oh, but if that... Oh, the little nook. Now that I see, like, the shapes are gonna fit, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be it. Oh... like, everything's drawn badly, but that totally fits. And it covers everything. Oh... So it is puzzle 4, puzzle 7. Put the B up there. Oh... I definitely, when considering that idea before of it being 4 and 7. Oh, and this is why the numbers disappear. That did lead me to that. Okay, that is not a bad clue. The idea that the numbers disappear being an indicator that these are not the puzzle number. This is not the puzzle number. Yeah, that did work on me, but I didn't follow through because there was a mountain along the path of like. But it's impossible to fit a 4 in there rotated. Oh, okay. Okay, I was quite close to that one. Like, I'm kind of wondering, is it meant to be a clue that the 47 is kind of closer to the grid, kind of like the letters? Still don't love that the numbers disappear, though. It feels a bit... Yeah. It feels a bit like contrived to make that puzzle work. But then what's the alternative? Like, don't have any numbers on this and just have 47 there. To us, I think I would have preferred that, even though it's cute that, yeah, the numbers are there, they're there, then they're not here, but it looks like they're there. I think it would have been nicer to just not have any numbers and then just have 47 and have somebody go, oh, maybe that's just supposed to be the puzzle number because it goes 44, 45, 46, 47. But obviously it would lead very quickly to the idea that this means puzzle 4 and puzzle 7. But very quickly is not bad. Very quickly can be good. Okay. Okay, there's actually the potential that we might finish today. I mean, I guess if I'm planning to look up hints, then yeah, I guess I will, maybe. So it should be, yeah, this, 3, yeah. Here, 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 here. And then the B fits there from, well, not the B, the double B from 7. Okay. So that just tells you, like, knowing that, like having some sense that you're on the right path is quite important. The fact that somebody said I was close for that one is like why I even stuck with the ideas I was thinking about instead of being overwhelmed by all the possible ideas that could happen. Oh no. I don't know if I'm close on this one because I don't think... Has my video gone out where I was doing stuff here? I don't think so. Nobody's said anything, at least. Oh, I did ask. I asked a question about this. So I wanted to ask because it felt like there was kind of like a contradiction here. Like intuitively, to me, this says 4 of these. But because these weren't shaded, I was like, does that mean 4 of these? And I asked about that. So that is one question I've asked the designer. And he said that they are not intended to be copies of that. Okay, so that is definitely like it's a bit of a nudge. But I think I'm happy to have that nudge because I feel like it's slightly confusing what this would mean. I don't know if that means that they're meant to be blank because they all look blank, at least along the edges I can see. They could be shaded in the other places. But it's not that it means 4 copies of that. Does it just mean, like, is that bottom one this, and that is put on top of it, and then that is put on top of that, then that is put on top of that? Is there something you could do? This is a bit of a random idea. Oh, maybe. I don't know, maybe. I mean, this doesn't illustrate it. This definitely says something in 3D. So the thing I'm imagining, I have imagined this before, it was just, I never verbalized it because it was difficult to verbalize. But what if we treat this as like a kind of, like, a 3D object? No, I'm okay. With like, imagine, so this is a gap here. And then the next one would be like a cube. How am I supposed to, I need like Lego. I don't have any Lego, I don't think. Do I have any Lego in my house? I don't think so. What do I have that would be useful? I don't even know what this would mean. And am I turning all the shapes into 3D shapes and trying to place them? Possibly. It would work, right? Because I counted the number of spaces. So those are all the empty spaces within the shape. Then maybe I could fit the... Okay, but then there's also the thing of, have I got the right letters? I mean, it is 5 letters, and I did get 5 letters from that. But then this feels like it's indicating something completely different. Or does it? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. This is kind of an interesting idea. If this is not the thing, I'd like a puzzle that was like this. However, this is going to be really hard to visualize. I mean, I guess I can visualize it just on here, sort of, ish. But can you see what I'm trying to get to? It's like, well, so there wouldn't be, you wouldn't be able to see that. There'd be another bit sticking up here. And then on top of that, there'd be a line sticking out that way, and there'd be a bunch of gaps through this shape. Like, I really want something that I can, I'm like looking around the room for things that I can construct this out of. I need a bunch of cubes. The cubes that will stick together, which is an extra requirement. I don't know if I have that. There are definitely like kids' toys that would work very well. But even Lego wouldn't be amazing. I think I do have some Lego somewhere, but only like a tiny amount, probably not enough. Let me go have a look. Hold on. I found some Lego! And it's covered in dust and random stuff. Hey, look, I found some Lego. Now, is it actually practical for me to make what I want to make out of this Lego? Because they're not actually cubes, but that doesn't really matter. I can just imagine everything like squashed a little bit. Do I have enough? Is the question. I mean, I have quite a bit. Yeah, I probably have enough. So, what am I doing? I kind of need a base. I'm going to have to make a base out of... how should I do this? How should I do this? We've got like some flat pieces, but not many flat pieces. Sorry, it's all off screen, but I've got like these flat pieces, but not many. In fact, that might be the only one I've got. So I need a kind of... Should we just make it small? Let's just make it small. So, okay, let's just make a base however I can make a base. So do I have a bunch of like 3 big pieces? Yes, okay. So we could do this and just make sure they're stuck together underneath, and that'll do. That'll do as a base. In fact, can I just, if I do the same thing, I don't need the whole base, and just do this. Sorry, I'm not actually showing it. There we go. So that could be my bottom layer. Let's add on little thing. Then a 3 long. I just had a 3 long. Where did I put it? I don't know. That's 4. There was definitely a 3. I was using it. Oh, did I put it on the bottom? Maybe that became the bottom piece. Oh no. Okay, here we go. 3 long, like this. Then another 2 3 longs. Okay, if I struggle to find a 3 long then, I'm probably going to struggle again. I've got some 2 wide 3 longs, which I guess I could work with that. Oh, found 1 3 long. Can I find one more? What am I doing? Is this going to be the thing? It'd be funny if it is the thing. I guess it doesn't matter if I do a 4 long. It's not too important. It just might confuse me. I don't think I have any more 3 longs. Except, oh, I mean, okay, so maybe that would be less confusing as if I just use a 2 wide 3 long. There's one. There's like dust all over this. Tell how much I use my Lego. Okay. So this is my shape. Ignore the bit that sticks out on this side. So I guess what I'm thinking is maybe I can pack, if I turn all the, what were they? It was DABBB. Yep, DABBB. Can I pack them into here? If they're 3D. Oh gosh, this is going to fall apart. DABBB. Oh, jeez. Where to begin? Like an A could hook over the red. Like I kind of need to make those shapes. So here's an A, but like I guess A there's like this kind of A, or there's also like a flat A. Like so A could go over there. So there are enough spaces here, right? So D, A, so D is 6, and the rest are 3. So it's basically 6 3s, 18. Let's count spaces in 3D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, okay, so it's exactly right. Now, okay, so if A were to go here, we'd have a problem because would we have a problem? B. We clearly need to put the D in that space, although the D could go in. Okay, let's start like this. Let's consider the D going on this side up here. Does it always leave a space that would not be able to connect to somewhere? I think so. I think I might be doing the right thing. This seems absurd. I need another 3 long bit. I don't have one. Like I want to make a D shape. Okay. I'm just going to have to do it like, I have to hold it like this. So if that were in there, I think this is the only way the D could go in, like over here or over there. So if it were in here, it would leave this space without anything in it, which would not be good. Like same this way around. It would leave this space without anything in it. Not good. So the D has to go. Is that true? Yeah, I think the D has to go. No, it's not true because like, so in the book, this piece, I could put the D, so that was that layer. So yeah, the D could go horizontally in one of these spaces. Okay, so there's there, but it couldn't go on that side. This side, oh, do we have similar problems on this side? We do, because it would block in this space. Like if we do this or this, I mean, it's very similar. Like we still end up with that space or that space blocked out, and we also end up with that space blocked out. So this must be sitting like that. What am I doing? Is this all going to fall apart? It feels like it is. Or like, I can't do it the other way around. But yeah. Wait, no, so in fact that was wrong because it's sticking out. So it has to be either that way around, but like in further, which I can't do because it's too wide. Like air. Or that way around on this side, which I can do. Maybe like that. It's all falling apart. Okay, so in that situation though, we block off this hole and there's nothing that could go there. Okay. So then the other way around, do we not have the same problem? I guess we maybe don't because that hole's not there. Am I doing the right thing? This is kind of cool if this is the thing. 1, 2, 3. Da, da, da. Oh, we might be. This is cool. So then what that would mean is that this blue is actually sticking out one more and that space is full. Okay, I need to swap a... Let's actually demonstrate it. Let's swap that piece for that piece so I can make the actual D shape. Okay. So what I'm saying is this goes on this side like that. It still doesn't, no, that's not too bad. Okay. So that goes in there like that. Then an A can't go down here, but a B can. So I need another 3 long piece. Yeah. I can imagine it, right? So there'd be a B here. Okay. That would be necessary. Then, oh gosh, it's hard to visualize. And in fact, this piece would have to have an A in it. A, B along the top, B there. I mean, whether that's the thing or not, that was a unique solution. I'm going to accept it. I actually have no idea. Should we look at what the hints say? Or should I draw that in? How do I draw that in? I don't know if I can draw that in any way at all. I mean, what I could do is say, okay, so the D, I'm going to accept this as my solution. So one thing I also know is that the designer said that he doesn't know of anybody that's actually solved this the way he intended, which is quite funny. So that means this is the D shape. How to do this? Okay, that's D. Then we've got are B1, B1, B1. Then to fill in that space, we've got an A here. So that would be, that's the only A. And then we've got a B along the top. B2, B3. Am I done? What? Should we pack that into... I don't have all the pieces, sadly. I can't do it with Lego. Yeah. But that's kind of interesting. I wonder if that's the intended way. Because the problem is, because there's exactly the right number of white spaces here to fill in with the shapes, there are probably like multiple ways you could like think of stitching these things together. And the thing that I've just thought of doesn't really match with what this shows. Like maybe kind of like if you treat like that as like a cube. I feel like this could be illustrated better. Like, and it's not like the DABBB from these puzzles can only go in a certain way. Oh, maybe they can only go in a certain way. Didn't I see that I could put the D up there though? Yeah, easily. But then maybe there's some issue with that but then these are like sideways on, whereas these are stacked. Let's look at what the hints say. I'm gonna look at the hints 1 second. Okay. Discord. Scroll up. Okay, found them. Oh, they're all rot 13, so I'll have to. Okay. Puzzle. Is this 50? What is this? Is this 50? Yeah, okay. And I can see that the hint says 3D in it because there's the number 3. Because number 3 doesn't get changed under rot 13. Okay. I'm just going to paste the whole thing in. Because I don't mind. Like, I came up with a solution that was actually unique and it's interesting and whatever. The right figure is a reference to 3 levels. Okay, perfect. That is what I noticed. Right figure for the letters. Okay. So just for the letters. Pack the letters perfectly into the left. It's 3D. I mean, all of those hints work for what I did, but I don't know. Like, it feels a bit... Like, this illustration is weird. Like, the fact that that isn't an example of what I ended up doing feels weird. It's just 3 levels stuck to each other in 3D. I don't see the connection between that and what I actually do over here, other than I see like a couple of separate connections. One is the letters that I use, and one is the fact that I did something in 3D, even though I didn't do it in the same kind of way. But maybe there is a way of putting these, but then why are they stacked on top of... The only reason I started doing what I did is because I was thinking, oh, maybe they just mean they're stacked on top of each other. They're like layers in a grid. But then why isn't that like that? Yeah, I'm not sure I understand. Like, what would have been nice if what I've done is right, which it probably isn't, but if what I've done is right, then I think the way I would have shown this is shown the 3 levels in a stacked paper form, like the same way these are shown, and then up arrow down pointing to a 3-dimensional structure, a bit like the Lego that I've drawn, and like have me like realize like what the connection is between those 2 things. Or even you don't need to show them stacked at that point. You could just show the 3 levels. You could even reference the 3 levels some other way, like with numbers. Have an arrow to like a Lego 3D structure, and then give me these. And then that would have made more sense, I think. But then the problem is that I think if you did that and you made a 3D structure out of these levels, there would be multiple solutions. So I think the best example would be one where if you combine the levels, somehow there's only one solution in 3D space, but that sounds tricky. Anyway, I'm gonna accept that I'm done. Holy moly. I did not expect to spend 21. Is this 21 videos? 21 videos with Abdec with a book that's only this thin. It turns out the book isn't that thin, it's this thin. Although this would have been thinner had I got it printed double-sided. It was fun to print out this. It's really, really, really cool. I love these a lot. They feel like little artifacts. Like the framing of them, of it being like a book that was discovered and has been republished, like it really feels like that. Even if it didn't have that framing, it would feel like that, just because of how nicely they're put together and how clever they are and all the little secrets within them. It's really cool. I like at the time, like in the process of trying to solve those abductive things, I definitely would say I wasn't fully enjoying it. It is nice once you get to an answer, but that's not because the answer to the abductive kind of cryptic ARG bit is that great. I don't think I was ever particularly satisfied by them. It's because solving the cryptic ARG bit let me do some puzzles, that the puzzles were then great. And so, yeah, like, I think if those cryptic ARG bits were more clued, less frustrating because of that, then I wouldn't mind them being there. It's not like I'm saying like I don't want to be there, and they do like add to the feeling of this book being this like weird, strange artifact of a creature that nobody's been able to see since. Like, it adds to that feeling. But so I think it's good that they're there. They just, in my opinion, they need to be way smoother, because what it does is it creates like, my experience going through this book is like when I was going through these adult puzzles, I was like having such a good time, like figuring out each one. And sure, I'd get stuck for a bit and have to do a little bit of abductive reasoning to figure out what a rule would be. But like, that's such a constrained space to figure out the rule, and it's so much nicer. But I just end up in this like pit. Like so I go through a flow of like, this is really fun, this is amazing, and then I get to here and I go through a pit of like hours of like not understanding what to do and feeling kind of overwhelmed and frustrated, and that's not like the place I want to be. And then so it's interesting because I just said the abductive reasoning to figure out the rules is always like nicely constrained. That's not true for 43, no, sorry. Was it page 43? Why do I have the number 43 in my head? For no reason. It's got nothing to do with any of them. Page 45, 39. Well, for both of these, I mean, the E thing was very clever. I think the reason the E thing was such a stumper is because it wasn't clear to me that I wouldn't be able to figure that. Like, having these two things back to back, I think, is a mistake. There needs to be more puzzles that require knowing the shape of E, because otherwise, there's effectively like there's two puzzles here that I'm looking at the same time, and it's hard for me to know that they aren't just like, I'm not just missing like one thing that would apply to both. The only thing to indicate that is the chapter things, but I don't think that's strong enough at all. But yeah, like, coming to this, like, it's very clever and it's really cool, but it is a huge jump in logic. And the problem, so the thing with abductive reasoning, right, is that, again, you have this like kind of infinite space and you have to narrow it down to some specific idea that feels most correct, that best explains what you're observing. Now, the problem is that, like, I'm saying, like, oh, usually that's constrained. Because, like, you're doing exactly that same process when figuring out, like, the shape of A. Oh, that wasn't the shape of A, was it? Shape of B. Oh, no, we were given A and B. But, like, whatever this was. Oh, we were trying. This is where we were learning the rule of the thing. So you're doing that same process of, like, well, there's an infinite set of possible rules that could explain what I'm seeing here. I want to narrow it down to the particular thing. And it feels constrained because I'm never considering things like, well, does this mean I can go outside the grid or anything like that's it. I guess it's interesting to think about why that is. Why are those not an option at that point? And it's because, like, it's just to do with the cluing. It's to do with the clues narrowing things down for me. It's like, well, this is A-shaped, that's A-shaped, and it narrows it down. And I have no reason to even believe that I might need to go outside the grid at this point. Like, oh, I'm just trying to fit a shape into this sized grid. That should be doable. So what could these imply about that? It just means that they have to be covered up. But at this point, because it starts to... I guess the thing is that this is like additive to the rules, whereas this is both of these cases are go back and realize that you actually had the wrong thing the whole time. You actually had the wrong rule in your head, which is cool. And I love it when games do that. But what it does, at least in this case, I don't know if it did it in this case, because I just don't think I even considered that I had the rule wrong, and that was my main issue there, and that's on me. I think that's on me, except for the fact that being paired with that made it unclear that this wasn't relevant to that. But had there been multiple puzzles where the E shape that I had was just wrong, I would have just gone back and I would have figured out E. That is what In my opinion, I know it's annoying to be like, yeah, but this is not your book or whatever. But in my opinion, had I approached this, or like with retrospect, that's the other thing, is like got the retrospect of having played it as somebody who didn't design it. But given given that information, and in retrospect, I would have had multiple puzzles that required E to be the right shape, because that would have forced me to go, okay, clearly I'm just missing something about this chapter, nothing to do with this. Then for this one was very good, and I thought the way it was done was very good. The problem is that because it breaks down the rules in a certain way, it does open up, like you're working in this like constrained universe, like that's like subset of the universe where the rules could be, and the way this breaks the rules opens up quite a lot in a really significant way, and so I think the biggest thing this section needed was puzzles between 39 and 40 that really drilled in. Like there should have been a puzzle kind of like this one, but without the other A's, just a single A and there's a corner to go around. That would have been perfect. That would have been a perfect puzzle 40. And I think that would have helped a lot. But this also had the issues of, that was the whole thing about it opening up options. It's not only did it open up the option of like, can things go outside the space? It's like, what does it even mean for things to be covered? That's never super clear. So is there a way they could have made that clear through a puzzle? Like, that's only clear if you read the hints. I mean, even the hints aren't that clear, but what does it mean for the B to be covered? Because clearly the B is not filling up the whole cell. It's filling up a smaller section of the cell. So is it covered if only the letter is covered? So that's never clarified. Except for the fact that I did eventually go back and realize that, if that had not been the case, then other puzzles would have had non-unique solutions. But I think it would have helped to clarify that in some way. I don't know exactly how, but it's still really clever that, like, just thinking about, well, if this needs a unique solution, then it needs to be a symmetric solution because it's a symmetric puzzle. I think that was really cool. There's just a couple of things that would have helped. Again, if this had had a few more examples after it of E needing to be the right shape, that would have been great because it would have separated this from this, and that would have helped with this bit as well. Then to have some more examples of diagonal thing with simpler situations with just like an A that has to go around a corner or whatever in a kind of angled way would have been awesome, and it would have helped a lot. Not like somehow avoiding the issue of like, well, what does it even mean for a shape to be placed on the grid? Like where can its points be, etc. I feel like that should have been illustrated somehow. With those things, I think I would have been in less of a what do they call it? I don't know, like a valley in my mood. But that was one where the abductive answer, like figuring out the rule, was actually satisfying. Unlike the kind of ARG type things, the solving the puzzle after getting the rule was always satisfying, but I don't know if the thing was ever satisfying. Like that was maybe satisfying, but only by virtue of it being simple. Yeah, that was mean. The fact that that's not just a dot, or the other thing isn't just an I. This and the 46 and like the way the numbers disappear, clever, but again, I could only validate it by like going down and actually solving the puzzle eventually. This was my favorite, I think, of those. I'm kind of curious if that's the answer, what I did here. Because if that's the answer, I actually really liked that one. Except I liked doing the thing at the end, but I didn't really like the way things were connected up. Nonetheless, let's not focus on those all the time. This is such a cool book. Oh gosh, let's not even talk about it. But we've already talked about the puzzles for half an hour today. But like, love the rules, love the figuring out the. I mean, it's just the same things I loved about lock, which I still have next to me here. Always keep lock next to me. No, I don't. This just happens to be on the table. Love this process of like figuring out the rules based on the uniqueness of the solutions. It's great. It's really cool, and lots of satisfying puzzles. There were definitely a bunch of puzzles in here that I sort of did, never feeling completely confident that it was unique. And I wonder if that's to do with this particular rule set or something. I just kind of went, oh, I'll just put the things in, and that kind of feels pretty constrained, but I'm just going to move on. Possibly I could have continued thinking about it deeper, but whatever. But yeah, love these books. They're excellent. I'm done. I am done with Abdec. Yes. I'm really kind of curious about that. I wonder if because it feels cool to have done it like that, and whether it's the right way or not, I don't know. I'll find out afterwards, I guess. All right, folks. That was Abdec. Those were Abdec. Those 2 books. And yeah, it was fun to get to print out this. That was a very satisfying part of this journey, was getting to send the PDF to the printers and asking them to print it out, and like sending them the requirements for like what this should look like and how thick the paper should be, all that kind of stuff. That was a fun, possibly unintended part of the experience of doing Abdec. Oh, look at all this rubbish. That and that. Look what Abdec's turned into. It's 2 books. It's a bunch of Lego. It's a bunch of cut out pieces of paper. It's this pencil. It's this plastic sheet with some 3D stuff drawn on it. It's an eraser. It's lock. It's my phone because I had to look up the thing. What has this turned into? Oh, geez. Oh, and it's the red pen as well. And it's the alcohol wipe. It's like screen cleaning thing that's on my desk over there that I can't go and get. What a mess. What a mess. But it was fun. All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for taking part. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for people who left spoilers and then removed them when they realized it was spoilers. Not thank you for the spoiler part, but thank you for the removing the spoilers part. Yeah, and thanks to everybody else who just didn't spoil anything at all. That was fun. It's too bad there aren't many of these things in the world, but I'm sure there'll be more at some point. There are things like it. There was Jack Lance's one. What was Jack Lance's thing called? I've forgotten the name of it, which may have inspired like Lock and Abdec. I can't remember the sequence of events. Like a kind of figure out the rules by uniqueness type thing. There are lots of figure out the rules games like The Witness and Taiji. It would be good to do, like I know they're doing Lock Digital. So yes, if you want to play Lock, but without the physical book or like a new version of it, I think which has additional puzzles and stuff. There is Lock Digital, which you can find on Steam. But it'd be interesting. There's no, like, other than Lock Digital, which is an adaptation of a book, there's no digital. I mean, it is an interesting thing to try and adapt digital space, like the whole uniqueness constraints. Like, you just have to, because if you confirm things, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting design thing to think about. But like, where are the kind of witness / Taijis or / understands that take this approach where uniqueness is the thing to help you figure out the rules? Is that just impossible? I don't think it's impossible. I think it's just an interesting problem to solve. Anyway, see you next time, folks, for probably something a little more gentle. Maybe. Who knows? See you then. Goodbye.